a special one today. We're in the process of doing I would just say a recap of I call it building a dragon. And so the only way to build a dragon, we have to go back to the essence of, in my opinion, how we got here, how we got started, and what is the legacy that our guys are trying to just go off of. So I say, let me reach out to one of my favorite players of all time at St. Mary's. And we was able to link up, and we got him here today. Let me bring my guy Tony Burks to the stage. Let me see. What's up, Tony? Can you hear me?
What's up? Yeah, I hear you.
All right. So again, we're joined by Antonio Burks. All right, Southside graduate of class of 2018. All right. He was a standout at St. Mary's for 4 years, not just on the basketball court, but also on the football field. And I believe you ran track too, right?
Yeah. I ran track my last year.
Last year. All right. So yeah. So what we do here, man, I'm getting back to the essence of pretty much my whole motivation of starting this channel and starting this page was to shine light on people like yourself. People that, not just the legends and that everybody throw that word out there a lot, the legends. But I started this podcast because I wanted to talk to some of the legends that I grew up on, that I felt like history kind of forgot. Just as you start getting like every 4 years, I feel like the generations need to know about like the past 4 generations or 4 years to just keep up to speed on just rich tradition of basketball that we have in the city. So I originally started out just talking to a whole bunch of my old mentors, my old coaches, people that I viewed as like legends for my sake. And then now we get to the point where I've coached legends, and you are one that I feel like, man, just kind of set it off for us. And so let's jump right in. Just kind of tell me, just as far as like your background and like your basketball journey, just walk us through just how did you get to St. Mary's? What was the atmosphere like? What can you say about the school back then? And then we're going to get caught up to speed on just how you transitioned out of St. Mary's, had a stellar career at Columbia College, and then playing professional right now. So just walk us through it. What got you to St. Mary's? What was going on at the time? And just tell the audience, let's just break it down. Walk us through the journey of how you got to St. Mary's and what was your whole thought process going into St. Mary's? Why did you choose St. Mary's and just the time there?
So just before high school, I was trying to figure out where I was going to go. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. I was just trying to figure that process out. I was just a kid just in St. Louis, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So, I, at first, because before I came to St. Louis, because my mom was in the military, so she got stationed in Illinois. So we was living in Illinois. I was in Illinois for like 3-4 years and stuff. And, I was going to end up going to high school in Illinois. My pops didn't really want me to go to school out there. He wanted me to do something else. So I ended up moving to St. Louis with him for like in 8th grade. And then I had to go to a couple of little hood 8th grade middle schools, before I went to high school. So that's when I met you, or somebody like that knew me, and I saw you at one of the schools. I think it was Fanny Middle School.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I met you, and you was at Gateway.
Yeah.
So you was trying to get me to come to Gateway and stuff like that. But then my pops was like, man, we don't know about Gateway. We don't really know if we want to send them there.
What school district was you in Illinois?
Illinois, I was in, I think, Belleville West.
All right. So Fairview Heights, Belleville. Was there any talk of you going to Alto?
Nah, it was either Belleville West or Belleville East.
Okay. All right. So you trying to figure this whole thing out as far as what school you're trying to go to. You move in with your pops in St. Louis. I stumbled up on you because, again, doing the whole middle school, you try to figure out like who are the top players, who are the top kids. I was at a PHL school, so I said, let me just start in my own backyard with what are the middle schools that we need to just, tap into. A buddy of mine, Coach Smith, was working at Fanny. He was like, man, you got to get up here and see this boy, Tony Burks, man. He he the one, man. You got to get him. You got to get him. So I'm like, all right, let me go up here and check this little dude out. I never forget, man. We came up there. You had your Raimi little sweatsuit on. You had all your little stuff, and I'm just like, man, what you think about Gateway, man? You want to come to Gateway? You want to do this, that, and the third? So my whole pitch was trying to get you familiar with Gateway, but not knowing even my fate at the school I wasn't gonna be there that long. So, all right, so go ahead. So you met me. We got to talking about Gateway. Your folks was like, man, I don't know about Gateway, and I'll never forget that summer though when I made the decision to walk away from Gateway. I was working at a summer camp, and I'll never forget, it was at Northwest. And I remember picking up the phone and calling your pops like, look, man, it's a chance that he can get over here. He can get to St. Mary's. What do we need to do? Or I'm going to let you finish telling your story. Go ahead.
Yeah, so once that happened, because like we called my pops talking about St. Mary's, and we wasn't too far from St. Mary's. You know, I live right on Nebraska. That's probably like a 5-minute drive from St. Mary's. And the whole time, I didn't even know where St. Mary's is at. I didn't even know nothing about St. Mary's.
Right.
So like me trying to figure out where I wanted to go, it was kind of difficult. But then St. Mary's popped up, you end up going to St. Mary's. So it's like, okay. And then we heard Coach Lee got head coaching job there. And we knew the background from him and all the players he coached and, that went places and stuff like that, had good careers and stuff. So that was a great opportunity for me. So, but then we had to think about, the money, and because it was a private school. And then they told me it was an all-boys school. And I'm like, all-boys school? I'm like, I don't really know about it. I ain't never been in them type of situations. But, we just thought about it. And, it was a good situation for me and for my life going forward. So we just ended up doing that, and it wasn't too far. So it kind of worked out perfectly for me, really.
Yeah, because I like to tell people, just like a lot of times that, people saw you and they saw that bunch, that group, and was just like, man, but not knowing that pretty much a lot of you guys live like around St. Mary's. So in the history of St. Mary's, I'm pretty sure that they was able, when kids lived close to St. Mary's, they did choose St. Mary's. And now we had an effort of, based on the conversation that our president had with our AD, with our new coach, it was just like, look, we doing something special at St. Mary's. Get in at the ground level and let's help build this up. That's what attracted me first and foremost. I had a relationship with Coach Lee. It's always been like a guy that I can call and kind of, pick his brain about certain things, because we used to play him a lot when I was at Beaumont. And then coaching against him when I coached at Beaumont, and then coaching at Chaminade, it was like, man, this dude can change a program. He can turn a program around if we get guys buying in. And I said, to start off, we got to get this guy Burks. So whatever we need to do to get him here, let's work with him. Let's work with the family. Let's try to make sure that he can get in. And so just looking back, did you have any like favorite moments or any like favorites as far as like your playing days at St. Mary's? Like what stood out? Any memories that you want to share with everybody as far as like when you got there? Was it a big culture shock? Kind of talked about the girls and it not being girls. But do you think that something like that helped you like moving forward in life?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Because just going to all boys school, just off the rip, it's like it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different mindset you gotta have, a whole different environment. So it's like you gotta adjust to that. So I didn't think I was really ready for it. You're young, you just thinking about all boys, like no girls, stuff like that. But not thinking long term, like it actually can help you out. It make you stronger and it can build you up. So me going there, it was good though. I think it helped me out for sure later on in life, and just being in school just helped me be focused. I didn't have too many distractions. It was just everybody, and it was just all just family. Like everybody that was there was nice. Everybody was nice to me. Family, I still got people that I talk to now to this day that I'm still cool with. We still kick it. We play the game and stuff like that together and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But a favorite moment, it's a lot. I got a lot of memories at St. Mary's, man.
And we'll get there with a lot of things, but I'm just, I just kind of with my audience and with people that listen to this, I'm hoping that folks can go back, especially we got like prospects kids that want to, think about coming to St. Mary's and pretty much is faced with some of the same stuff that you face with. Are there girls? Is the school too big? I don't know about a uniform. I don't know about this and that. But when we really prepare you for what life is going to be like, really kind of in the real world, even as far as the diversity at the school. Because I know a lot of people might say, oh man, that was an all white school, or it's a lot of black brothers. So how was that experience coming into the school and you being like a super minority coming in, not really having a whole lot of African American students to kind of bounce things off of? How was that transition?
Yeah, it wasn't too hard for me. I was used to being in those type of situations, being around that environment. But, I was probably me and Yahuza was probably the first two to really come to set the culture there. So, and it wasn't bad because, the teachers, everybody there was nice. They welcomed us. It wasn't nothing bad. They didn't give us no, it was all good. So it wasn't too bad for me just coming in. It's just me just trying to get used to being around those people and just being in an all boys school. So it was just different in that kind of way, but it wasn't hard for me to adjust and to get used to it.
Right. Because a lot of your teammates are sitting right next to you in class. And as soon as you walk out of class, you're going right to practice with them. You're going to be at practice with them all night long. And you're going to turn right back around, be in the game with them. And, I like to tell folks that it's a family environment because we would literally give the shirts off our back to our teammates, to players. Like I had so much stuff that, when I couldn't wear or couldn't fit, it was like a hand-me-down. Here you go. And people were appreciative of it because it was like, we don't have nobody to impress here. We all we got. We all is one. Did you feel like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. And just going based off just school, the school wasn't too big. It was a smaller school environment. So, the classes weren't too big, like 15, 20 kids. So the teachers was able to help each student individually, stuff like that. So it wasn't you just in the back and you just
falling asleep and nobody didn't even notice that you fell asleep because it's too many kids with too many different learning types that it's hard for a teacher to, hey, let me spend a little bit more time with him, but make sure that this person over here can understand. And I think that that's a bonus. Like if you're able to be in a school where it's 10-1 and the teachers can actually sit down and help you, like, man, you're gonna get so much from that school and from that class.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So all right. So even just, was there a point in time where you just realized, like, man, I can really, really play college basketball? Did you ever feel that way? Or did you have a time, or was it a time that you said, you know what, man, I can really take this thing to the next level?
I mean, just growing up, I always wanted to play in college, whether it was basketball or football, because, I was a dual athlete, so I played both sports. So I didn't really know what sport I wanted to play going into high school. I just was like, I'm here to play basketball, I'm here to play football, I'm here to do both to the best of my ability as I can. So, and then when it got to my junior and senior year, I had to start thinking like, okay, what do I really want to play? Do I want to play football? Do I want to play basketball? Because it's that time, a lot of players that go to college don't play. They don't really play both sports,
Right.
So I had to really trickle down. In my senior year, I really thought about it. And I was like, I think I just really want to take the basketball route. And that's what I did. I grinded, and that's where I am today. JUCO is definitely a grind. You got to be mentally strong. Because you're going away from your family, first of all. You're going to be away from family. You got to go in an environment you don't know nobody. You don't know the coaches. You don't know the players. You don't know the
and everybody's trying to just get in and get out. So it's not a whole concept of we got to win this and do this for the team.
Exactly.
Everybody gets their own individual goals, why they there and what they trying to do to lead. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. And there was a lot of players on my team that you could tell like from the get-go, like as a freshman, I'm coming in, I don't know nothing. I don't know how the speed of the game, when you go to college, the speed of the game is faster. You got to think more. You got to know this. You got to know that. So me coming in, it's like, it was a real culture change for me. Like players that was there, they there trying to get their stats. They trying to go somewhere. So when you go JUCO, you learn real quick. If you ain't here to work, and you gotta get buckets and do what you gotta do to get to the next level, because you can't stay here forever. This is 2 years. You only stay here for 2 years. So you gotta come here and do what you gotta do to get out.
And even just the talent level, like it's guys that play in junior college that are pros, and it is different even from your standpoint because you were before COVID. So me and you kind of did the same kind of little route of you got to grind it out, then you got to turn around, you got to grind it out again. You got to make sure that you learning and picking up everything that you need from her because, like you said, you can't stay for a long time. And now it's in a situation where these guys, the JUCO has turned into like the new Division II, and like a lot of people are going the JUCO route just to get stats, and then basically trying to just work on their game because they know that I can possibly get to this next level, but it's going, you got to start somewhere. But what were some of the things that kind of stood out that you can kind of tell the audience the difference between high school and junior college, and if guys are taking that route that they need to be prepared for what, for XYZ?
Well, definitely, like, the game is quicker. You got to be JUCO, them kids strong. Players coming, so some players have already been there, so it's like they second year. So if you come in as a freshman, you still skinny. You ain't get your grown men muscles yet. So it's
some of these dudes have Division I scholarships on the table. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of players on my team who went D1. I played against a lot of D1 players that went NBA from JUCO. We played against John A. Logan. They had a lot of players that went D1, big D1, and a player who went from JUCO to the NBA. So it's a big culture change. You got to learn quick on the move. This ain't no 4 years, so you got to learn the system quick, or they're gonna be looking at the next player up. Right. So it's like with the JUCO I went to, I was coming in as a freshman. I wasn't really supposed to be playing. They were just looking at me just to have me on the team, just to pick me up. And those players that was playing against me that that transferred from D1, like UNLV, like big D1. So I had to come in and pick it up quick. Like I ain't have no time to sit back and try to learn and stuff like that. I had to come in off the rip, like ready, or I was gonna get left behind.
So then tell the audience and tell everybody about the transition from JUCO to then you go to Columbia College and perform and take that program to the next level, to the point where folks were like, man, player of the year, All-American status, like just grinding. How did JUCO help you at Columbia College? And then what were some differences in both, from making that transition from JUCO to playing at a 4-year school at a university? What were some of the things that were different, and then some of the things that were the same?
I feel like JUCO made me stronger and made me tougher. So like once I went through the JUCO, it's like the trenches. So you go through the trenches to get you don't want to stay in the trenches. You want to get out of the trenches. So you do everything you can to get out of that situation. So that's what I did. And I feel like me going to Columbia College, it was like I went through all the hard stuff. So it was like me going there, it felt like it was nothing really. Like all I had to do was just perform. And I kept working every year to get better and better. So all I had to do was just perform, and that's what I did. I just tried to do everything I could to my best ability, and I was just thankful to have a great career and do everything that I did there.
What lessons do you think you learned from playing in college that you continue to have to this day, that you can just say, or just give a nugget to the up and coming Tony Burks, that he's afraid, he doesn't know what's about to happen, but just you can give them some advice to say, look, go to school, do this at XYZ, and then this is going to help you once you get out in the real world. Because I think a lot of folks don't like to ask those questions for the fear of the type of response that they're going to get back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like for all the kids that's coming up and stuff like that, is time management. You gotta know how to manage your time. When you go into college, you're on your own. It ain't no mama telling you to get up, daddy telling you to get up,
Oh,
take
for
a
real?
shower,
They
or
don't do
when
that.
to come
The college
home.
coach, the college coaches don't come and knock on your door and say, Tony, why you
Nah,
not at practice today?
nah, that ain't their job. That ain't for
Nah.
them to tell you. You got to do that yourself. You got to have a mindset to get up. You got class at 7 a.m. You got to get up at 6:30. You got to get ready for class. You got to be on class on time. Don't be late. Like they checking schedules. You coming in late, you running. Like
Mm.
you gotta make sure you make it to weight room. Like
Mm-hmm.
we had class. I had class 7 a.m. After class, you might have a shoot around at 9. You gotta make shoot around. Then after shoot around, you gotta go to your other class at 11. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like it's a grind. But if you keep your mindset strong and that's what you want to do, you can get through it. A lot of people don't make it through it, but it's tough, but you definitely can do it. You just got to keep a strong mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
and everything will come.
Yeah, because the biggest thing I like to tell people is that we're not victim of our circumstances. We're victims of our choices, and a lot of times you're gonna have that choice at 7. Now I'm gonna say at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and knowing that you got weights at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, you got a choice to make. Do you hang out with your buddies and your friends, staying up all night, or do you go and get some rest so you could perform better that next morning? And a lot of guys, and even people that I played with, like I said, I went to JUCO, I went to do that. They didn't manage their time and their choices because they chose to do something else that it ended up having a direct effect with them on the court. So you are a victim of your choices. And young athlete, young player, you have to make good choices because it's one way of just getting. I mean, you can get there, but then how are you going to stay there? You got to be able to try to find a way to stay, and you stay by making good choices. I mean, what do you think? Because I'm pretty sure you were faced with some decisions whether it's peer pressure or you had to make a choice on whether you go home this weekend or you stay. Man, if I go home, man, it might be a possibility, man, I might not come back. Or I dealt with all of that, and I was only maybe hour away, and it
Me
was
too.
a buddy of mine that was just like, man, how you away at school, but you here every day? And so the light had to click on for me, like, man, he right. Like, I need to be back at school, grinding, working. And then the next time that somebody see me, I want them to see a change. I don't want them to see the same BT that they just saw. And it's kind of like when you too familiar with folks. And like I said, I had OGs in my neighborhood like, man, look, we tired of seeing you here, man. You need to go off to school. Like, what are you doing? Are you playing or you not playing?
Right.
So, so that was kind of my dilemma. So let's talk about just making that transition. Okay, you have some opportunities, man. You knock it out of the park at Columbia College. How do you make the transition to say, all right, I'm gonna do professional basketball, but hey, professionally is gonna be in a country that I know nothing about. Talk about that. Talk about just living in a whole nother country, but pursuing your dreams and riding it on out.
I think it just come with just being strong minded and willing to sacrifice. Like everything, like my whole life, basketball I had to sacrifice. Me being even young, since 5th grade, I had to sacrifice. Not even knowing that I had to sacrifice. It's like 5th grade, we going to AAU tournaments. We traveling every weekend. My cousins and them, they're going on trips, Florida, stuff like that. I'm missing out on every trip. So
Mm-hmm.
some kids want to be thinking like, man, I want to go have fun. But at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, if this is what you want to do, you got to take those sacrifices. You got to make those decisions. If you want to go to Disneyland, or you want to go in this tournament and try to better yourself and get better and further your career with basketball or football or whatever that you want to do. So me just going overseas, I feel like it wasn't as hard for me because I already been taking sacrifices my whole life. So it was like it
Mm-hmm.
was just a mindset thing. Like this is what I want to do. I feel like I wanted to do this for as long as I can till my legs fall off. That was always my thing. I always say, I want to do this till my legs fall off. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to take sacrifices. You got to do things that you might not want to do, miss out on things, miss out on parties, families, events, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's gonna benefit you in your life. That's what you got to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Your life down the road. What you want to do? You want to be like, okay, I went to Disneyland with my cousins, so we had fun. But now
Yeah.
look at you, like you didn't work out. Now people passing you up. You
Mm-hmm.
got to think about it. People working out every day, getting better than you. People having, so that's what I always thought about. People just getting better than me or going on trips, and it wasn't really my mindset at that time, and still to this day, I just feel like you just gotta be willing to sacrifice. So
Mm-hmm. Nah, that's some good stuff. Just the one last thing I want to ask you before we switch gears, but what do you hope your legacy is going to be? And you just put it all together: basketball from middle school, St. Mary's, JUCO, Columbia College, pro. Like putting it all together. What do you want your legacy to be, or is that something that you even consider, something that you think about? Do you even care about whether or not you have a strong legacy or not?
at first I really didn't really worry about my legacy and things of that nature. But then, when I got started to get older, and then all I see kids now when I go back to St. Mary's, and they be like, Tony, man, I used to come to your games. I used to watch you when I was little, and I really look up to you. I want to be, try to be in your shoes one day and try to make it overseas and do what you did, or come to St. Mary's and do what you did. Like it was a couple kids, St. Mary's be like some years back, they be like, that I used to play football because I had football records. And Kevin Coleman,
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me like, I'm gonna break all your records, right? Like stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. That's what I want to hear. I want you to be better than what I did,
Yeah.
And so me just hearing stuff like that, it's just like, dang, that's crazy. I really set the path for other
Yeah.
kids behind me to do better, to grind better, to be better. So that's just a good thing to hear. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave my legacy. I never really thought too much about it, but
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that I'm there and I've been through that, what all the kids that's under me want to do, it just make me
Mm-hmm.
proud and happy that people look up to me. I didn't really know people really looked up to me like that until
Nah.
you really hear those things, and then it really inspire you to do better and to keep pushing.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I got a big library, man, of just photos, videos from just your eighth grade year, ninth grade year, 10, like so many. And it's funny to look back at certain pictures and videos and seeing people in the stands like, man, that's so and so. That's so and so. And not and then, even for myself, man, I'm old, man. I'm getting old. Then I'm like, damn, so and so just graduated. But he was at the camp. He was at the game. He watched y'all play this team or that team. And I used to always tell you guys, like, you're gonna come across kids that they first recollection of high school basketball is gonna be at a St. Mary's game. And when they meet their like role model or somebody that they look up to, you don't never want to be in a situation where it's like where people might say, don't ever meet your idol. Because if you ever meet your idol, they're gonna do something or say something that's gonna rub you the wrong way, and you're gonna be like, man, I don't even support this
Yeah,
person anymore. I wanted to always keep that in the forefront of y'all minds that, it's going to be kids. Even my son is an example that this, the only time he knew about basketball was through St. Mary's, and the Tonys, the Yahuzas, the Miles, the Uris, like all that, those became household names to where he's like, man, I want to do what Tony do. I want to do what this person did. And then when we look back at records, dude, you were in the top 10 in so many categories at that school to where scoring, rebound, field goal percentage, steals, assists, wins, like all these different things like that to where, uh, you know, I can't wait to the day that you become a Hall of Famer. And because I definitely want to be there for that. So we're
yeah.
gonna switch gears.